One more thing I want to share here, and it's regarding the video that I recorded where that I called my story, where I shared a bit of my story, where I came from, the history that I have, where I felt outfit, not belonging, had always really intense experience of being in groups with other people, where the experience where I would feel that I'm not welcomed there, and then that would make me feel like something is wrong with me and contract and completely shut down, feel depressed. And then whenever I would find a way out of that group, uh, it would take me a long time to heal from the experience and to just kind of like empower myself again. And that dictated my life's choices because it's not a fun place to be in. So I was choosing as much as I can to do things where I don't need to be in a group of people, workplaces. At the end, that's brought me to this path of being self employed. Um, and also, I've experienced transformation because now I actually intentionally brought myself to live in the community. So the last almost 9 months now, I live in the community. And the experience that I have in the community right now is the one where I'm just so welcome to be just as I am. And I get surprised that people do not react to when I set my boundaries, I say my needs. People are actually really cool. They're awesome. They're just like wanting to meet me there. It's like they make sense all of a sudden. And whatever they say started making sense to me. I'm just like, wow, people are actually really amazing and genuine. And yeah, I feel seen, I feel received, I feel, yeah, really seen, validated, appreciated for who I am. You notice that I started moving my hands because it's still vulnerable to say that, even when I am speaking from this deeper place within myself, it's still vulnerable to claim that. That that's the experience that I'm actually really having. Um, yeah, there are thoughts like, what might you think about me? Yeah, there's some kind of like expectation of some kind of projection to happen. So I'm noticing those patterns. Yeah, I'm noticing how. And I shared just one small example where I really noticed that today. I shared with some of you that I live in this really beautiful community, and the founder of this community is a person that I really can trust. He is very clear, in his perception, attuned to energies, really feels things, like notices things, and whenever he responds back, I don't feel he projects, but he's kind of like, I mean, everyone projects, but at least I can see that I can say exactly what I mean and he'll hear me. So I can trust him in that way. And also, he's an authority. Yeah. So for me, being here uh, with authorities, I feel like I should be nicer. I cannot really name what's alive for me. There's like this good girl comes into the picture. And today, I came to the kitchen wanting to put something to cook for my breakfast. And I see there's no coconut oil. No coconut oil. And I'm like asking everyone, where did the coconut oil go? Luke appears and he says like, oh, I took it to my cabin and I'll bring it back in a minute. And I was like, okay, thank you. And at the same time, I've noticed that I'm actually not okay with someone taking the whole jar of coconut oil to their cabin because I need it right now. And it's not here. Like, what if anyone needs it in the kitchen? So I said to him, look, do you mind not to do that again? If you need the coconut oil, just take an amount that you need and leave the jar here. And he replied to me, yeah, okay. I just thought that there is another jar, so I thought that there will be still jar to use, even if I take one to my cabin. And when I heard that, I'm like, oh, that makes sense why he did that. It wasn't because he was thoughtless and didn't care. So it was all good. But then when I was contemplating on what was happening inside of me as we had that little interaction, I realized how surprised I was to hear him replying back to me, okay, not being reactive, not being defensive, but just like, okay. And I checked why I was so surprised by that. Like, like in true good reality, in the reality that I want to live in, that's what people would normally like. If I express something that's not okay with me, they'll just tell me. Um, yeah, they'll just tell me how it is for them, and they want, to they make sense. So I checked why I was so surprised by that he didn't get defensive, and I realized that there's a part of me that is still expecting others to react, to be defensive, to not make sense in their response to me. There is still that part of me that expects that from the world. And that's why I got so surprised that it didn't happen. So that was interesting to witness how I have certain expectations of how the world is going to be treating me, relating to me. And those expectations are still the expectations of that little girl who had that certain experience at home where she was treated in that way, and like the whole conditioning, that whole expectation got set up that has been creating the circumstances in my life that would match that expectation. And now the more free I become by just witnessing, bringing curiosity towards whatever I'm experiencing, questioning everything, if that's true. And also practicing the embodiment of that in the circling spaces with others, where the spaces are specifically designed for being authentic with each other and check the impact that we are having and kind of like rewire the brain in this tangible way by practicing in the safety, practicing of relating, of being vulnerable, and checking how it all plays out. So yes, with all this work, I notice how I start living in a different reality, truly, where people actually like tangibly, like when I say my need, they actually reply in a way that makes sense. There is no defensiveness, there is no reactivity, but it's just, the reality where people hear me and want to meet me where I'm at, if that feels good for them as well. And if it doesn't, then we'll work out through that and see what we can do to make it work for both of us. So yeah, so this is a lot of transformation, and I feel like, wow, yeah, this is the tangible results of this work. So I'm gonna finish here. Just wanted to share this with you.